All right, even the Ignites didn't like this stuff. Problem solving with quadratics. Algebra is not useful unless you actually use it to solve problems in context. Often these are worded problems. So everything that you've done so far, you get the equation and you solve it. Right? But if you are moving on and doing the harder level maths, IB, methods or spec, all of your questions are going to be like this. So we have to practice it. I need to prepare you for next year. The problem that you have, the difficulty of worded problems, is you don't have an equation set up for you. You need to get the equation based on the words that are in the question. So, what I'm going to do, I looked it up. The average writing speed for a 15-year-old is 23 words per minute. So I'm going to set a 5-minute timer to copy these 98 words. All right? I think young people these days, instead of saying average, you say mid. So the mid level of writing speed for a 15-year-old is 23 words per minute. This is what I would put on your cheat sheet. And these are the 5 steps that I'm going to show you how to apply today. So I'll start that timer. Started. So the steps are, read the damn question, sketch the situation if it helps. Step 2 is decide the unknown, make it X. Often the question tells you what the unknown should be. Step 3, use info on the question to make an equation. And then you have to remember back, what does addition mean? Finding the sum, finding the total, finding all together. What is subtraction? The difference between or less than. Multiplication, products. What does division tell you? It tells you how many times one number fits into another. Step 4, you solve the equation. For your class, I recommend you use quadratic formula from yesterday. And last thing, you answer in sentence form. If you finish writing early, can you please be quiet? It's recording. You're 15 here? Only 14? I still get you to do much handwriting in primary school? I've been out of it since. Okay. So you see the year 12s are pretty slow on handwriting. You guys know it's casual day next Friday? Yeah, casual day next Friday. It's supposed to be storybook cosplay, but just dress up in casual. Because it's book week or something. I thought you could cosplay like that one kid that you see every so often. He's wearing the helmet. We could be pals. Can anyone think of other terms that are associated with addition? If you're adding something, you don't always use the term adding. Do you agree that sum, if I want to find the sum of something, we're talking about adding things together? If I want to find the total of something, if I've got 5 of one type of candy, 5 of another, how many do I have altogether? 10. If you can think of any to add, we can add them, but that's all that I could think of off the top of my head.
Maybe how much more?
Yep, yes, I agree. Altogether, how much more? Good thinking. Because that's the difference of less than. I've never actually tried that timer, so I don't know if it just closed or something. I'm not used to this device. Sure, that's been 5 minutes now. I don't know what's happened with that timer. It feels like it's been more than 5. Huh? Check. How?
I was like,
I don't think it even started. All right, whatever. Let's do an example. You'll have that on video anyhow if you missed the last couple. Let us try. This is a worded problem. You can see there is no equation written for you. We need to construct it. We need to construct it for ourselves. The difference. Which operation did we just establish the difference? Subtraction. So we're going to involve subtraction here. Between a number and its square is 20. Find the number. So this is an example of step 2. Decide what the unknown is and make it x. Often the question tells you what the unknown should be. Is the very last statement of that question telling you what to make the unknown? It's asking you to find the number. So let's make the number x. X equals the number. The difference between the number and its square. So you told me difference was subtraction. If I'm squaring a number, what am I doing to it? What do I write above it to show that it's being squared? Small 2. And the number. So currently, is this the square, x squared, is that the square of the number? And is x the number? And is a subtraction finding the difference between? What does the question tell you the difference between those two things is? 20. Before I started off with nothing, now I have an equation. The only problem you have is the quadratic formula only works when the equation is written something x squared plus something x plus something else is equal to 0. Does this equal 0 right now?
No.
I need to get that 20 out of the way. How am I going to make that 20 into nothing? What's the opposite of positive 20? So if I negative 20 on both sides, you're going to go x squared, take x, take 20, not 20, equals nothing. Is that written equals 0 now? It looks like this. So what is my A? Just practice of yesterday's. What is the number in front of x squared? It's not written there, but it exists. It's 1. What is the number in front of B? Take care. There's a subtraction there. What kind of a 1 will it be in front of x? Negative 1. All done? And then C, what kind of a 20 is that? Negative 20. Do I have all the letters I need to plug into the quadratic equation? All right, so I'm suggesting for your class you just hammer quadratic equation because it'll work for you. Negative, whatever b is, which you told me was negative 1, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which was again negative 1. Take away 4 lots of a. You told me a was 1. And c, you told me was negative 20 over 2a. A, you told me was 1. Remember from yesterday, at this point that looks crazy, but our next step cleans it up a little bit because we can work out what things are. If I have a negative times by a negative, it becomes positive. Positive 1 plus or minus the square root of. What's negative 1 times by itself? Negative 1 times negative 1 would be 1. Next part, negative 4 times by 1 is negative 4. But negative 4 times by negative 20, negative times the negatives are positive, what would it be? 80. So plus 80 over 2 lots of 1, which is 2. So it's a little cleaner now. We can clean it up even more because I can work out what the square root of 1 plus 80 is. 81. Yeah, you're jumping ahead, but good. It's good that you can spot that. Some people are not struggle with the times tables. What number can I times by itself to get 81? 9. So x is equal to 1 plus or minus 9 divided by 2. So that plus and minus gives us 2 options for the answer. I could either have 1 plus 9 divided by 2. So x could be 1 plus 9. What is 1 plus 9? 10. So x could be 10 over 2. Or if I took the subtraction option, not 8. 1 take away 9 is not, it's going to involve 8. Negative 8. Or x is going to be negative 8 over 2. I'm not finished yet. You'll get your marks for this, but not full. What's 10 divided by 2? 5. Or x could be... This pen's really slippery. X is equal to negative 4. You have two possible answers there. And they're both equally as true as each other. Because if I did this in my head, I'm saying that the number is 5 for this option. What is that number squared? What is 5 squared? 25. What's the difference between 5 and 25? 20. That's not the only answer though. Because if I did this, what's negative 4 squared? 16. And what is the number? Negative 4. So if I jump from negative 4 all the way to 16, that would again be 20. Okay? Suggest you get that example down, please. I know that's painful that you can have multiple answers and stuff, but I cannot skip anything. That's the reality of it, and I can show you. I just showed you that that works. Negative 4 and 16 has a difference of 20. 5 and 25 also has a difference of 20. Give people a couple minutes to get that down, then I'll do a diagram question, and then I'll finally shut my mouth today. For people that have finished writing, can you get the second example down? You've got a rectangular house block with a perimeter of 64. Have you done measurement in year 9? Do you know what I mean by perimeter?
Yeah.
It's how far around something. So a normal oval is around 400 meters around. And an area of 220 square meters. Do you all know how to find the area of a square or a rectangle? Good, okay. What are the length and width of the block? That's the second example I want to run with. It's a bit more involved. All right. Like I said in step 1, it's always a good idea to sketch the situation so that you can point at something. If I've got a rectangular block, what shape should I probably draw? Not a circle, okay? Good idea to sketch the situation. So right now, let's call the length and the width x and y. You just told me before, the perimeter is the total distance around a shape. So for this shape here, how long is the long side? What are we labelled at right now? X. Is there another long side in a rectangle? So currently, how long are we at? We're at 2x long for the two long sides. The perimeter currently is 2x's. But are there other sides that we are currently ignoring?
The y.
Yes. How many y's are there? 2 y's. So right now, because I called x the length and y the width, the perimeter is 2x plus 2y. But I haven't taught you anything about handling two variables. So we need to write y in terms of x instead. What does the question say the perimeter totals? That's the area. What is the question tells you how long the perimeter is?
64.
64. So right now, I have this 2x plus 2y is supposed to be 64 long. I have a problem because Mr. T hasn't taught me how to do anything with x and a y. I can only deal with x's. But if I rearrange this to make y by itself, right? How would I get rid... I want y by itself. How would I get rid of this 2x? What's the opposite of positive 2x? Negative 2x. So I'm going to move the 2x over the other side by going 64, take 2x. What's the 2 doing to the y right now? What's the sign between the 2 and the y that we don't write in algebra? Times. What's the opposite of timesing something by 2? So if I divide everything by 2 on both sides, it's going to get rid of that 2. So y, what's 64 divided by 2? 32. What's negative 2x divided by 2? Correct. And you're going, what the hell, how is that useful to me? Right? We can jump to what you said. How do I find the area of something? Length times by width. Area equals length times by width. What did we say the length was originally? OG. The length was x. But what did we just say the width was? We transformed y into 32 take x. So before we had an x and a y, do we only have x's here now? What does the question say the area was? 220. So we've got an area of 220 is equal to x, bracket 32, take x. I'll give you some time. Can you get down to that setup that we did? And I'll show you how that relates to quadratics. If you remember back to expansion, is there a set of brackets there?
Yeah.
Can it be expanded? Will that expand to a quadratic? Is there going to be an x squared there? And then we can solve it and work out how wide that is. So again, I'm not pulling any punches here. If you're doing the height, as far as I'm aware, you were thinking of IB and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah? This is it, bro. Okay?
Welcome to IB. Looking forward to it.
Some people can lock in and change things around. All right, let's expand it. So you've got 220 equals, what's x times by 32? 32x. What's x times by negative x?
Negative x squared.
Correct. This looks a little more like a quadratic now. Let's order it a bit nicer. I want it to equal 0. How do I get rid of positive 220? What's the opposite of adding 220? Negative 220. So if I took 220 from both sides, you would have negative 220, positive 32x, take x squared. The only problem is we want it to be in this order, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. We've got it equaling 0 now. It's just the opposite way around. So if I rearrange this, it's negative x squared plus 32x, take 220, equals nothing. Why is that helpful? Because I can identify my a's, b's, and c's. What is my a in this equation? What's in front of x squared?
-1.
Yep. What's in front of b? There's a number. What's in front of x? What's b? 32. And what is c? The number that's by itself. What, negative 20 or negative? Good. So that's what I can chuck into your quadratic equation. Negative b, which is negative 32, plus or minus the square root of 32 squared minus 4. A was negative 1. C was negative 220. Over 2 lots of A, negative 1. That looks crazy right now. We'll clean it up after I give you some moments to get that down. So I'm cleaning it up for you here. You'd have a calculator. When you were doing this, for real? $10.24, take 880, it's 144, negative 32, plus or minus the square root of 144. Does anyone know they're 12 times tables? So that cancels down to negative 32 plus or minus 12 over negative 2. I have two options here, either negative 32 plus 12 or negative 32 minus 12. So x is either negative, anyone off the top of their head, what's negative 32 plus 12? Think of this, although it doesn't go far enough. Negative 20. So x is either negative 20 over negative 2, or what's negative 32 take a further 12? Negative 32, negative 42, negative 44. Negative 2. Right, 20 divided by 2 would be 10, or 44 divided by 2, 22. Why do we have two answers here? Because it's a quadratic. There's two options. So we're not done yet. Almost. Is it possible? So looking ahead, because you're tired now. Looking ahead here, we said that we said the width must be 32 take x wide. Is this possible? Is it possible for the width to be 32 take 10? 22? Is it possible for the width to be 32 take 22? Yes, there's multiple possible options for your rectangle to meet that criteria. Okay? So put rectangles there, 10 or 22 meters for the width. So I'm going to stop that recording there.